Big Blue Nation, to another episode of the Cats Talk podcast. I'm your host, Cameron Johnston, joined by my co-host, as always, Jacob Boyers. We're back to mayhem, Jake. I don't even know where to go. We're a week and a half ago, we're talking about playing for first place in the SEC, and now we have lost 3 straight with this loss against Auburn. And 2 of them back-to-back against Georgia and Auburn or against bottom barrel teams in the SEC. And we look bad playing both of them. Jake, I don't know where to go from here. We're almost back to the sky is falling. What do you make of the whole situation we're at?
Man, I'll tell you what. I was extremely sick Saturday. Could barely even get out of bed. Could barely move. Was taking so much Dayquil and NyQuil that my body couldn't even function. And somehow that wasn't even the worst part of my Saturday, because from 8:30 to 11 when this game ended was not fun and just miserable. A very, very frustrating loss. Obviously, there's a lot of different factors that go into it, from coaching, certain players not playing well, down to the officials, but altogether it just made for the most miserable experience to watch and get your heart ripped out on a last-second tip in.
Yeah, and let's just say this. I mean, both of these teams were awful. Both of these teams didn't deserve to win this game at all. And I don't know how many games you can watch in the SEC where you're going to feel like that after the end of the game. Jake, I'm going to let you just kind of pick the direction of where we go with this one, because there's so many things to say. Where do you want to start with this game in particular? You want to look big picture first and narrow it down, or should we start with this game and then go big picture?
I don't know. Let's talk about the game first, and we can start with whatever avenue you want. We can talk about individual performances or the coaching mishaps or the controversial call to pretty much end the game.
All right, let's go ahead and start with a controversial call. Let's go ahead and get that out of the way, because I got a feeling that's something you and I can just talk about, and we'll move on. It's the correct call. By definition, it is the correct call. But it's the correct call if you're calling it the entire game. If you're not calling it the first 39 minutes, then you can't call it the final minute. That's kind of where I stand. I more look at it as like, man, you're facing a very bad Auburn team. You shouldn't have been in a situation where a whistle can take the win out of your hands. It did. I don't agree with the call. I don't agree in the spot in which they made it. I don't agree with the official who made it and, where they were at on the sideline there. But that's where I'm at with it. I'm not a huge, I'm not going to say we were cheated. I'm not going to say all this. I think Pope and some of the other guys have stronger feelings about it than I do. I'm more upset that against a bad Auburn team, we were in a spot where one call can kind of change the outcome of the game.
Yeah, I'm there with you to an extent. It's something I've complained about that you only really see in college basketball, and I've complained really the entire time we've done this podcast and well before that, and it's officials that aren't in the play making calls. You see it all the time, whether it's the official that's at half court on a fast break calling a foul at the rim, or, in this situation, 2 officials closer. I mean, technically, is it a foul to push off? Yes. Did the guy flop? Yes.
Yes.
Did he also have a hold on Chandler before? So, could you have called a foul on Auburn? I think at that point it's got to be a no call. But I'm with you. I don't think necessarily you were cheated, although it's tough to say the game doesn't come down to that. You should have had it put away before that. But if you call it and Chandler goes and makes 2 free throws and you call the hold, then you're potentially looking at, a Kentucky win versus a Kentucky loss. So it is, I understand the frustration more so from the players. I would expect a little more from Pope, and I'm sure we'll get into his press conference after. But the call itself, I mean, I hate it. I think that's what college basketball refs do all the time, is they call the game one way for an entire thing, and then there's just a moment at the end of the game where these guys kind of want their shine and they're going to make a big call and they're going to, get all the attention on them. But I hated the call in the moment, but to your point, it should have never come down to that one particular call. You went you went 11 minutes just making 2 field goals. Like there's a lot of other reasons you lost this game other than that one particular call.
Yeah, and I don't want to make it's not an excuse, but obviously that had a full impact on what transpired at the end of the game. Like obviously that's the reason Auburn wins that game. Without that call, obviously you're shooting 2 free throws. I mean, Collins known to miss the front end of a 1-and-1, but I think we were in the double bonus at that point, right, Jake?
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, we were in the double bonus. He's hitting at least one of those 2, and then you're forcing them to either go for the 3 and the win. And based on how their season was going, they called this a must-win game if they had any sort of tournament hopes. You're putting a lot of pressure on them to score. So, yeah, I mean, that's really where I'm at. I'm more frustrated with the 2 field goals in 11 minutes that you alluded to. I'm more frustrated with the lineup that was out there for that final defensive stand. I'm more frustrated with not being able to finish around the rim and how many open, easy looks you have around the rim and not being able to capitalize on those. Those are more the frustrating parts that I have because you take some of those into account in this game, and it's a game that you probably should have won by at least 8. It shouldn't even have been something that was close for Auburn to be able to have a couple. And, Jake, this is something, I don't know if we've talked about it necessarily, but when you are that marquee program going on the road, you have to build yourself in that 4+ point. I mean, you have to make it 2+ possessions to feel comfortable. The whistle can always go in a certain way. They're going to have the home whistle. You are the marquee program. It's obviously going to look better for that home team to win that game. You have to almost build in that, that allowance and that grace there. And that's really where I'm at. I'm more just frustrated with lineups, inability to finish around the rim rather than I am officiating.
Yeah. And something I want to bring it back to, you were talking about this should have just been an 8-point win. I'm with you. And it's back-to-back games where I feel like you've had opportunities going back to Georgia and then this one. You had opportunities to essentially put the game away and you don't, right? You get up 8 late in the first half against Georgia and you make a mass substitution and take Oweh out after he, scores back-to-back possessions, and you let your 8-point lead become what we were down 4 at half or 3 at halftime, whatever it was. And instead of, like we talked about, getting that lead to 15, you were up 9 in the second half here, and you kind of took your foot off the gas and made some subs, and next thing you know, you're back to tied. And then even then, you come back out and you still rally. And, me and you text when Denzel hit that 3 to go up. He hit the deep one at the end of the shot clock to go up, 53-47.
He bails you out. You have a bad possession, and he bails you out with
He bails you out, and you still don't put the game away. It goes the exact opposite, and Auburn goes on a 12-0 run, and then you're playing catch up from there. This team's inability to kind of capitalize off of those moments, and I think that's something that we've seen from Pope, especially in these 2 years now, of just whether it's because of lineups or different adjustments. There's moments where he just kind of, we even saw it. I remember us talking about it, the Missouri game. There's just these moments where he doesn't keep his foot on the gas to put the game away. Missouri, we pretty much went stall ball the last 4 minutes, and we were talking about how this feels like, what we used to see from Calipari of just taking the air out of the ball and trying to hold on and let your guys make plays at the end of the shot clock. And when you have an opportunity to put teams away, you have to capitalize, especially in a league as competitive as the SEC, and we're not doing it against the bad teams in the SEC.
Yeah, and that's the frustration point that I'm with. And the part that I was kind of going to ask you there, didn't want to jump in, but I mean, do you think we have the ability to win? When's the last time we've seen a comfortable win against a Power 4 team? In the Pope era, I genuinely cannot think of one off the top of my head to give you that it wasn't, a 5-6 point game. I'm trying to think of something to where, you won by 8, you won by 10, double digits. And against Power 4 teams, I genuinely, Oklahoma? I think it's the only one.
Year.
And even that, I mean, you still let them in the game for longer than they should have been in there. I start to worry about whether the staff has the ability to do to do exactly that, because we've seen we've seen the actions that they've taken when they do get those 9-point leads like they did in this game against Auburn. It's hey man, let's get these guys in, get them a breather real quick, and let's be ready for the stretch run. No, how about we extend that lead, like you mentioned, keep the foot on the gas, get that lead to 15, 16 points if you can. And then if you really need it, you can start to find a couple minutes here and a couple minutes there, not these wholesale substitutions. And we're going to get into the substitution patterns a little bit later. But I'm kind of just at a loss for words of what to think with how this staff reacts to when they actually do get leads.
Yeah, I don't know, man. I mean, even back to last year, if you remember it was one of the Oklahoma games. I think it was the SEC tournament, right, where we were up big late and let them completely come back, and then it obviously everything worked out because Otega Owe bails you out with a layup at the buzzer, but like that was one where you kind of went completely away from what got you that lead prior and you blew it. The wholesale substitutions, we talked about it at length after Georgia, and now we're doing it again. I mean, Jasper played what, like 1 minute in this game and gave up like
1 minute and 46 seconds.
And gave up multiple buckets, had a turnover. Like, as a guy that said he's a lot like Travis Perry, that take has never looked better.
It's looking good for you right now.
And it might even actually be worse right now if you look at what he's done really since, I don't know what.
That maybe first Tennessee game, probably.
Yeah, the first, yeah. It's not been good. You talk about guys that are absolutely unplayable. And between him and BG, it's not good. You're rolling guys out there that for extended periods, and I will say at least in this one, they recognized quickly that Jasper couldn't play and didn't try to, go back to that well. But you still do it with BG a lot. I understand Malachi's got some issues and he's not the perfect player that we want to see. Yelovich, I know you're ready to go on a rant about that. Like, I still think he's got to be tougher in these situations, but I'm willing to take those two's lack of toughness at times and inability to either finish through contact or, stop a more physical presence based on what else they can give you versus what I've seen from Brandon Garrison for 2 years now.
Yeah, Jake, and I really want to dive into that a little bit later into the pod, but just kind of just finish off with this game here before we start diving into those lineups, because you mentioned I've got a rant to come, and Jake, there's not that many times where, we're recording pre-podcast and I'm telling you 6 hours before, I hope you're ready. I hope you got the popcorn. I hope you got everything ready. I hope you can just sit back for a couple minutes and listen to what I got to say.
As somebody that's trying to get over being sick, I'm all for just taking a few minutes of a break and just letting you go.
But, I mean, yeah, I kind of want to talk about some of these other guys before we start getting into the rotation a little bit. Otega Owe, back-to-back games where he's just been terrific and very efficient from the floor. I mean, I'm always still going to have a little bit of, nitpicks in there. Obviously, the layups are still a problem. Free throws weren't as big of an issue on this one, 6 of 8, but I've got no fault with anything Otega's done over the past week of basketball. I didn't think he played well against Florida, the Georgia, and Auburn games. I think you saw that he was the best player on the floor in both of those games. 29 points, 7 rebounds, 3 assists. Got you a steal in there as well. He's playing 35 minutes. I don't think there's much more we can ask from Otega and what he's doing right now. The only question that I have for you, Jake, is more just, do you think this is similar to Oscar Tshiebwe in the fact that with Otega being your best player, the ceiling is just not that high. Having a guy like that on your team, it's almost, he's still getting his numbers, he's still getting his points, and he's looking good doing it. But it's almost like you just can't take that next step with a guy like that being your best player.
I don't. I mean, next step in, like, this team make a Final Four and, like, national championship, like, yeah, that's maybe a different conversation.
I'm even, like, Sweet 16. Like, I don't think he can be best player on a Sweet 16 team either.
I think he can, because I think we've talked at length about how really they should have won both of these games with the way he's played. And, there's multiple other games we should have won. I mean, to your point, Otega Owe over his last two games has scored 57 points, 11 rebounds, and 7 assists with minimal turnovers, shooting the ball productively, and you have lost both to very bottom of the barrel SEC teams.
That's kind of where I'm getting at with my point. You've had career days back to back in which he's tied or exceeded his career highs coming into this game, and they were against two teams who going into the game were on the bubble. Auburn is still not guaranteed to be in. Georgia looks like they're going to be in. Like, these are teams that are probably fighting for those play-ins in Dayton, those 11 seeds, and you still lost with him having career games.
Yeah, I think it's more on the coaching staff, the fact that you didn't find a way.
I'm not blaming Otega. I'm more just holistically looking at it.
Yeah, I mean, I think you can be a second weekend team with Otega being your best player, especially when you're getting the contributions from the Georgia game. It was Colin Chandler. This game it was Otega Owe being your second best player. When you're getting somebody to kind of step up and go with him, I think there's no reason you shouldn't. But between the coaching staff, Colin Chandler playing probably the worst game we've seen him play since
the worst half of basketball I've seen in some time.
Maybe November, for that just to kind of all bubble over. I mean, I thought Otega was phenomenal Saturday. I know you're not saying he wasn't. This team, even with quote unquote Otega being your best player, like, you should still be better than you are right now. Again, like, I don't think there's a difference if we're saying, like, could Otega Owe being your best player take you to an Elite Eight Final Four kind of run? That's a different conversation. But for just to say, like, should this team be good enough to be a 6 seed and win at Auburn and maybe find a way to the Sweet 16, like, you're clearly good enough for that. But, like, man, you gotta, like, Otega was cooking in the first half against Georgia, and you pull him out with an 8-point lead, and, like, there's just times, man, where you just gotta let your best players put a game away, and for whatever reason, Pope doesn't try to do that, and he tries to pull him out the first chance he can to kind of get him a breather. And I think he looks at an 8-point lead as, hey, if I can just maintain this until I get Otega back out there, then I'm good, rather than saying, hey, how can I take this 8-point lead or 9-point lead to 15 and put this game away?
Doesn't work. That's for sure. Another guy I kind of just want to talk about, you mentioned it briefly there, Colin Chandler. That second half of basketball that he had, I don't know if there's much worse. 5 turnovers in the second half. Really wasn't giving anything in the rebounds category, wasn't facilitating well. 1 of 6 from 3, had some open looks, just wasn't able to knock them down. We knew this regression game from 3 was going to come. The way he had been shooting over the past 4 or 5 games was an elite level. I think it was over 58% was what he was shooting over his last 4. So we knew one of these regression games were bound to come. First off, like, Denzel Aberdeen played 38 minutes in this game. Why and, like, how is Colin getting so many opportunities to turn the ball over? Like, we've kind of mentioned right now, where we're finding him his best are those spot-up opportunities. And even if it is just catching something off a ball screen and getting downhill, felt like we were putting him in a lot of positions to play make against Auburn. And that's something that we saw very early in the season. That's just not something he's comfortable with right now. Again, going back to the coaching staff, I don't know what the plan is on any given game. And when you have 2 guards, all 3 of the guards, when you have them very set in their roles, which I think they should be, Colin is the spot-up shooter. Otega is your get downhill, finish around the rim, get out in transition guard. And Denzel Aberdeen is your pace guy, and he's going to be the one to set up others and hit threes as well. how do we like Jake? If you and I know this, like what's going on in the walls of the Joe Kraft Center where we haven't been able to figure this out either?
Yeah, I'm going to blame the coaching staff for a lot Saturday. I'm not going to blame them so much for Colin playing so poorly, just because I don't know, man. He never looked comfortable, and even Jimmy Dykes was pointing it out on the broadcast. Like he looks rattled, and like both of those entry passes to Malachi, like those aren't anything out of the ordinary that you're asking him to do. I mean, that's just throwing the ball into the post, and both of them were so bad. I told you, like, part of why I want to see Colin Chandler shoot, 6 to 8 threes a game is because he doesn't take bad ones. I mean, he took just bad, uncharacteristic shots in this game, too. He pulled one from the logo with like 14 seconds left on the shot clock in the second half.
It's contested, too.
Yeah, like a step back from the logo with, plenty of time left on the shot clock after committing the turnovers. Like, I don't know, man. I'm not going to harp on it too much because Colin's been so good, especially all throughout SEC play. Like guys are going to have nights where they don't have it, but it was, I would just say, very uncharacteristic of him. And then, we talk about the foul and how I don't think it should have been called. Like, you still kind of put yourself in that situation there. Probably, if you know anything, like, don't push off. Like, worst case, if he is holding you and they throw it in, make the officials call him holding you. And if they don't, then you can yell at the refs about that. But I don't know. It was just, everything was so uncharacteristic from Colin in this game.
And one of the worst things I saw was just those quick early fouls that he had. Two fouls where he had to sit. He had to sit an extended amount of minutes, and you're looking at the guy who we've talked about. I mean, what have we said? You want to see him play 34 plus minutes a game, and you're looking at it where he had only was able to play 25 in this one because he got two early cheap fouls, and that forced him to play guys like Trent Noah and Jasper Johnson, in which I'm going to get into that here in a little bit on like what they're doing. I mean, that was where I found the most critique with what Colin did. Obviously, the turnovers late were bad. We can argue till we're blue in the face on whether that call should have been made, yes or no. When you fully extend the arms, you're giving them something to call, like whether you look at it that way or not. And then where we start getting into like the rest of the starters, like Jake, even in this game, their starters were still +6. And you still found a way to lose the game. Yeah, the starting lineup.
I feel like we say that a lot.
It's every single game. I've got the notes here for it a little bit later when we start talking about the lineups. But Yelovich, I'm not going to get in my rant yet. I want to save it. 5 points, 4 rebounds, 3 offensive rebounds, 2 steals as well. Was +9 in this game. Played 13 minutes. I really don't know what to make of it. The minutes that are given to other guys don't make any sense to me. Like Trent Noah plays 19 minutes, Brandon Garrison plays 14, and somehow you only find a way to get Yelovich on the floor for 13 minutes. It makes no sense to me. And him and Malachi both right now struggle with the exact same thing.
Yep.
Both of them need to be stronger with the basketball. And that's really what it is. That's where all of their turnovers come from. And that's where 95% of all of their faults come from. Like, I don't think there's anything that you and I look at when we watch Malachi Moreno play and we're like, you got to get him out for that. Got to get him out for that. If there's one thing, it's always traffic rebounds he can't find a way to come down with. And it's, anything that involves being physical around the rim. And he's a freshman playing in the SEC. So I fully understand. I'm going to give him a little grace. And I think, you've done the same. You've seen how good those two bigs play together. Why do they not play together more often?
I don't know, man. And then, like, back to, down the stretch and the final possession, on paper, it kind of, I understand it, right? Like, Malachi struggles with physicality. Like, looking at when BG is good, it's like he's this kind of physical player.
But he's not.
We've watched it for 2 years. We've watched for 2 years now. that he's not that guy. And so, like, after 2 years of data, like, I don't understand how we continue to roll him out there in those key stretches because he's just not going to do it. The only time he's going to get physical is when someone's talking to Elway and he's going to come up at the end and give a shove or, get in somebody's face. Like that's it. And I don't know, man. I really don't. It doesn't make sense to me. Does Malachi grab that rebound at the end of the game? I have no idea, but I promise you he probably at least jumps for it or at least makes an attempt to, box out. But
and the thing that I'm going to bring up, looking at, all of the advanced analytics that Pope talks about for how guys rebound, he mentioned it all the time with Amari Williams last year that he was one of the best rebounding bigs in the country. When you look at rebounding rates for this team, when it comes to our bigs, Malachi, Yeli, BG, and Mo. Mo's not even really a big. BG's is by far the worst.
Yeah.
And, we hear about how Yelovich isn't physical. We hear about how Malachi isn't physical. We hear about how Mo's too short. All of these things, and yet Brandon Garrison, who is the big physical guy, he's not physical. He's just big and looks the part. I don't understand what he's bringing this team right now. He should be how we are looking at Jasper Johnston right now as like man, I hope we can just buy a couple minutes, getting Denzel a break. I feel like that's what we should look at with the other three bigs. It's like, hey, can BG give us a minute? Can BG give us 2 minutes here? When you're talking about giving 14 minutes a game and Yelovich playing 13, that's where you completely lose me. And we're going to talk about the plus minuses of since SEC play and since February. That includes the best game of his career against Oklahoma, where he had a double-double.
Yep.
And we're still going to talk about how he's in the negatives for all of those.
Yeah, and, like, back to that rebound, I know, like, hindsight's 2020 and the way it plays out. At the end of that game, you don't even need BG to go up and grab a rebound. Just go up and smack the ball as hard as you can. Like, you don't even have to come down with it. Just kill one more second, and you're fine.
You're expecting Brandon Garrison to make a play between the ears?
I mean, I'm not even saying that, but, like, if you just attempt to do something, it could possibly kill 1 second of time. And, like, that's all you're asking. And there was zero attempt. And I know people are talking about, I've seen a lot of people on Twitter like, well, the guy came from the other side. Like, that's actually Diabate's side. You know why Diabate's not in the play? Because
he got block.
He just blocked the guy on the shot before because he was coming down to block Brandon Garrison's man because BG wasn't there to do it. And I don't know, man. I'm with you. I feel like I've screamed it for 2 years now. I can't watch him play basketball, man. And I tried to let's not forget, like, back to the bigger picture thing. Like, this was supposed to be your starting center this year. The plan on paper was for him to be your starting center. You hoped JQ could come back at some point. And there was never, back in the summer, there was never an idea for Malachi Moreno to even play. We were talking about him being your 12th, 13th man and, like, getting sparing minutes here and there just until JQ got healthy. Like, you came into this season thinking Brandon Garrison was a starting center in the SEC. And back to what we were just saying, not only is he not a starting big in the SEC, he is unplayable and somehow still getting, anywhere from 14 to 18 minutes a game.
All right, Jake, you want to have the Yelovich and Brandon Garrison conversation?
I don't. There's no conversation.
I know there's no conversation. I know there's no conversation. There's no conversation with you, but I just want to talk about.
Let's hear it. I'm going to mute my mic.
What's the over under on the time I go here? What do you got? What's the FanDuel line?
I'm going to set it at 3.5 minutes.
I don't know if I can deliver that much, but I'll give it my best chance here. Andrea Yelovich. What was there, Jake? A 4-game spell there with DNPs there at the end of non-conference and the start of SEC play? until he finally got the starting nod against, what was it, LSU was his first game where he started.
Yeah, because Mo, it was almost more of a suspension for Mo?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So you get to, all of these things have happened. You got a guy who comes to the team late, similar to what Jasper Johnston did, comes over, learning a whole new style of basketball, learning a whole new culture, a whole new everything. Everything is foreign to this guy. There's nothing. There's no camaraderie with these teammates. He doesn't know anyone. Everything he's doing is for the first time. And what do you Brandon Garrison, it's the complete exact opposite. Guy's been here for a year, he knows the system, knows theoretically everything that Mark Pope wants from his bigs, right? Since the start of SEC play, Yelovich has the third highest plus minus on this team, only behind Denzel Aberdeen and Malachi Moreno. Brandon Garrison has the worst of those. We're talking about plus 29 for Andrea Yelovich and minus 57 for Brandon Garrison.
Minus 57 is just
that's what I'm saying.
Number.
That in and of itself should tell you a lot. We talk about how certain games, you can look at them and you don't want to look too much into the plus minus on a game by game basis. When you start to get a lot of them and you start to collect data, as Coach Pope likes to say, that's when you have to start using those and taking them and instilling actual efforts with them. All of the advanced analytics, efficiency rating, Andrea Yelovich is higher. Rebounding rate, Andrea Yelovich is higher. Offensive rebounding rate, Yeli's higher. Defensive rebounding rate, Yelovich does it better. The minutes, 15.9 per game for Andrea Yelovich and 15.8 for Brandon Garrison. Jake, where the hell is the disconnect? I genuinely have no clue where it is. You look at Yelovich, he can stretch the floor. When's the last time you've seen Brandon Garrison look to attempt to take a three-point shot? Like, that was something that last year you kind of even saw that, like the ability for him to knock down a three. He's so scared right now he won't shoot a three.
He took one against Georgia and it barely got to the rim. So,
and part of what I'm saying here, and you see, like, there's nothing that Brandon Garrison brings you. Legitimately nothing he brings you that should be taking 16 minutes a game away from Andrea Yelovich. If you're saying we don't think Yelovich is, physically fit right now to play 30 minutes, fine, I hear you on that. But should it be 24-6? Should it be 23-7? That's where I'm at. I can't see a world in which Yelovich plays 13 minutes against Auburn. It just doesn't make any sense to me. There's no game plan outside of Oklahoma, just because Brandon Garrison hates Oklahoma, is where he should be getting more minutes than him. And I just feel like I'm fighting a losing battle because I feel like I keep coming in and saying this. The offense looks so much better when Yelovich is on the floor. The defense doesn't change that much. I know everybody's on Yelovich about his defense. Jake, do you feel that much better when Brandon Garrison's out there on the defensive end? Because I know I don't. I'm talking myself in circles with this. I would honestly just love to hear, and someone ask Mark Pope, like, why are the minutes so down the middle for these two guys? Is it because of promises you made Brandon Garrison in the offseason? Jake, that's something you and I had talked about. Like, is this something Pope's going to be able to do, is walk away from guys even though he's made promises or, recruited them in the offseason? We thought when we saw BG get benched, okay, he's turning that corner. Brandon Garrison's starting to play just as much again.
Yeah, I mean, a couple things. Like,
I went over, by the way.
Yeah, you're good. But, like, a couple things. We're not that far removed from Pope calling Brandon Garrison the most efficient player on this team. Like, that was this season. So I don't understand
Thanks for that reminder.
The fascination. But a couple points here. Like, to have a minus 57 is absurd on a number of levels because, one, I think it tells you about the player. But to have minus 57, you have to be getting a lot of minutes in these games for that to occur. Because outside of, Vandy, every single one of these games has been a relatively close game, whether you won or you lost. So, like, And then to your point, that also included Oklahoma, where he went out and played extremely well. So I would like to see what the plus minus would be outside of with that removed. But even then, like to have a minus 57, you're playing.
So he was plus 10
Oh,
in that game, so it would be minus
okay.
67 if you just
Okay.
called it a wash there.
Yes. And then, so like the minutes is absurd. And then back to what I alluded to earlier, and I feel like we talk about this on a few different topics. Like, there's just stuff that there's certain deficiencies with players that I take over the alternative. So, like, we've talked about it at times with substitutions and Pope talking about guys not being as efficient. I will take a dead tired Otega Owe or Denzel Aberdeen or Colin Chandler over a fresh Jasper Johnston right now, right? We said this last year with Amari and back to BG. You know, I would take Amari at 30 minutes and his legs given out versus BG fresh off the bench. This isn't substitution related, but I would take the deficiency of Malachi Moreno and Yelovich lack of physicality that we've talked about over anything I get from BG right now. Like there's certain things that it feels like Pope prioritizes for some reason, and for some reason in a handful of those situations Brandon Garrison on paper checks those boxes, but like he just doesn't do it. like it doesn't work out. And every time we get back to this, and I'm to the point, and even Jimmy Dykes like mentioned this on the broadcast, and we've said this 100 times, and we'll say it until we're blue in the face. At some point, you just have to play your best five and go with it, and understand like there will be weaknesses. There's going to be certain things you're not good at. Roll your best five out there and try to go win games. And there's not one scenario where your best five includes Brandon Garrison. There's just not. There's not one. You can make an argument on a certain night. There's your best five could include Mo over Yelovich, or, you know, very little minuscule things, but like there's no scenario where your best five includes Jasper Johnston or Brandon Garrison. And like I said, at least they recognized in this game Jasper couldn't play, but I wish they would recognize that with BG as well.
And I kind of want to touch on your efficiency remark there, Jake, talking about where BG was the most efficient player on the team. He's now the third worst on the team. You got any guesses on who those last two are? Should be pretty easy.
I would say Jasper and Trent Noah, if you made me guess.
There you go. So these are this is who we have to talk about them
real
with.
Quick. I bet if you went back to last year, it would have been the same thing, but instead of Jasper, it would have been Travis Perry, Trent Noah.
I knew where you were going with that one. You take your victory laps now, buddy. Get them out while you can, because
I think a certain person on this podcast called another certain person a clown and honked the nose.
I might have, because right after you called him Travis Perry, he had the best game of his college career. So at the time, it was looking good for me. Now, since then, it's been anything but. But I kind of just, Jake, the month of February. We are now 2-3 in the month of February. Kind of want to go over the plus minus of some of the guys that we're talking about here. I think some of them are actually going to surprise you. First off, Denzel Aberdeen, plus 29, leads the team by far and away. I mean, are we getting to the point where like 38 minutes might not be enough? Like, is that where we're getting at with him now?
Yeah, I mean, I don't think he's your best player, but it does feel like he's been by far the most consistent.
I think he's the most irreplaceable player that you have on this team right now.
I mean, we've talked about it. Like, it obviously took him a lot longer than maybe we had hoped for him to come in to be comfortable with that point guard type role. But, you know, since he's really kind of gotten into the groove of it, they officially ruled Lowe out for the year and he didn't have to worry about going back and forth. How much better has he looked? I mean, pretty much since that Mississippi State game where Lowe's gotten hurt and on, like he's been phenomenal.
Right there with you. And somebody else who, now this one might surprise you. Who do you think would be second in that list of plus minus?
Is it what, Malachi?
Since February. Nope, Malachi's third, so pretty solid guess. It's Mohamed Diabate with plus 12 over that 5-game stretch. And we're talking about finding rotations with the bigs. You have 16 minutes that you just need to completely eradicate Brandon Garrison of. I'm not saying all 16 need to go to Andrea Jelovich, but could you give Jelovich 10 and then give Mohamed Diabate 6 more? Mo's averaging 21 minutes a game right now. I think you could have Mo out there for 27.
Yeah.
And guess
I
what?
think it's got to be, you got to ask yourself, and I think we both would answer this question yes, but Will Pope, do you feel confident for a handful of minutes of game rolling Jelovich at the 5 and playing him and Mo together?
Let's put it like this: when Brandon Garrison and Mohamed Diabate are out there running together, I don't think BG's running the 5. In quotations, he is. He's not the primary rebounder when he's out there. He's not the one blocking shots, affecting anything around the rim. So I get what you're saying, and to your question, I don't think Pope is going to do that. Is why I'm so frustrated about it. And like I like the 3 rotation of bigs that you can have when it comes to, because I think you perfectly get, I don't want to say perfectly because you definitely still miss a little bit, but you get the physicality from Mohamed, which has been terrific as of late, as documented by the plus minus that he's had over the past 5 games. You get the length and the shot blocking from Malachi. And then you get the ability to stretch the floor and give you offense from Andrea Jelovich. Now, take those 3, Jake. What is BG giving you to add into that to actually give him 16 minutes a game? What that I just gave you, is there anything outside of those examples does he give you to earn 16 minutes a game?
You're asking the wrong guy, man. I mean, you heard my BG rants a lot last year.
For years now.
Yeah, we're on 2 years of it. Man, the frustrating thing is like you feel like this team a few weeks ago had obviously turned the corner, won 8 of 9, but it wasn't just that. I think you mentioned how well Mo's played, really, honestly, since he got benched at LSU, since he kind of took on that new role and kind of got back to just doing what he's done. We just talked about Denzel. Like, I think if you just played a proper lineup and found a way to win, even just Tuesday night, like if you beat Georgia, you could, I'm not going to say excuse a loss at Auburn, but that was one I told you I thought we were losing before, a week ago before we played Georgia. I told you I thought we were going to lose this game. But like, there's so many like little stories, especially like when you look at Aberdeen and Diabate, that you're just like, man, look at how these guys have grown throughout the year from when they first got here in November to the kind of players they are now. And it's like, you can't even celebrate those remotely because we're still playing Brandon Garrison 16 minutes and Trent Noah 18 minutes. And you're running out there and you got guys that, unfortunately, and I feel like we say it a lot with Trent, like, I don't mean to be rude. I don't know what he gave you Saturday.
I mean, I will be if you don't want to.
I don't understand how he's getting 18 minutes. He puts up 2 shots. It's 2 threes. He did grab some rebounds, so like I guess give him some credit there. That was at least one separator from the BG stat line. But like, the guy is not making shots. I feel like we're on 2 years of saying like, if he's going to be out there, he's got to hit shots, and he just never really does outside of, 2 games last year against Tennessee. But like, it's just, I don't know, man. You got 3 players on your bench that you play a lot, and for some reason at times all together that have your 3 worst plus minuses. They're your 3 worst efficient players, and they're still getting a lot of run. Like, Pope's never going to do it, and like this is what's so frustrating. But like, you got to just roll with 6 or 7 guys and just go, man, and then figure it out. And we're not going to do it, and we're going to continue to do this. And I guess I'm going to, have my fingers crossed and pray that they can find a way to go 2-2 over these next 4. But I don't know, man.
Yeah, I want to talk to your point on Trent Noah and what he's providing this team right now. Jake, during February, he's played 51 minutes. He has 2 points in those 51 minutes in February. He's minus 14 on the plus minus in those, which is second worst on the team, only behind Jasper Johnston at a. And get your popcorn ready, Jake, because this is what you've been talking about. Minus 37 in the 5 games in February, which is crazy to say because he hasn't played much in those 5 games either. Like, it's happened just like that to snap
You
a
said
finger.
51 minutes minus 37. I mean,
51 minutes was for Trent Noah. 51 minutes, and he's only scored 2 points.
Yeah.
And he's not going to do it just because like it goes against everything that like Pope believes in, I think. But I think you're at the point where it's just, you mentioned 6 or 7 guys. I just think it's got to be 6.
Yep.
Like I would understand. Hey, foul trouble. Okay, Brandon Garrison can give you 8 minutes today.
Yep.
That's fine. We're also at the point now that you have to get into the tournament. Like we're back into that conversation. We had gotten ourselves out of it with going 8 of 9, with losing 3 straight. You're back into talking about, hey, we've got to win some of these games to guarantee our spot in March. And I don't think he's going to do it. But one thing I wanted to bring up real quick, the worst lineup from each of our past 3 losses. Just kind of bring it up.
Auburn, I already know what you're going to say. Because it was
Auburn. I did this one on my own. So I don't know where you saw it, Jake, but I did this one on my own.
My eyeballs saw it. But I see it every time.
That's true. Auburn, this lineup was minus 6 on the floor together, and they were only on the floor together for 1 minute and 46 seconds.
Yep.
Otega, Jasper, Trent Noah, Brandon Garrison, and Mohamed Diabate. Against Georgia, the worst lineup on the floor. They went minus 7 in 1 minute and 50 seconds together. Otega Owe, Denzel Aberdeen, Jasper Johnson, Yelovich, and Marino. Against Florida, the worst lineup went minus 8 in 1 minute and 36 seconds. Otega, Jasper Johnson, Colin Chandler, Yelovich, and Brandon Garrison. It's Jasper Johnson, dude. It is. Obviously, when you talk about like what are the consistencies in there, Otega's in all of those lineups as well. And kind of goes back to something I had told you, I don't know if it was before the Auburn game or before the Georgia game. You can't play the 2 together. They don't work together. They're 2 scoring guards that play defense when they want to, pick and choose wise.
Yeah. Well, if Jasper and Otega can't play together, then sorry.
It means Jasper shouldn't play.
Yes.
That's exactly what it means.
I will say real quick, just to the Auburn lineup, right, of the worst lineup. Just think about that for a second, though.
I don't want to.
Like, without even saying the names, just think about this is the first half of a close basketball game, and you're talking about 1 starter, 4 guys off your bench. Like, you're willing to, in a close game on the road in the SEC, a game that, probably not technically a must win, but a game that you really kind of need at that point. And you're willing to go minutes with whatever you think your best 5 is that you start the game with. You're willing to move 4 of them to the bench at the same time. Like, that's absurdity. There should never be a scenario. You think any other team in the country is doing that at a given time, taking 4 of their starters? The only time that would have ever possibly worked was the Reed and Rob year where 2 of your best players are coming off the bench for whatever reason. But, like, That's absurdity. That should never happen.
And I don't. I think when you're sitting there and you're watching it, you're like, man, when Jasper comes in, just things aren't working for whatever reason. But there's a difference to like putting it to numbers and having the numbers back up what you see with your eyes. And right now,
I just got to watch some of those turnovers, and I know right away.
I mean,
that one Saturday was horrific. The one at Florida where you're trying to call a timeout and he turns the ball like. I text you instantly after that one Saturday.
I knew it was coming.
I was half awake with NyQuil running through my body, and I could see that coming a mile away.
But I mean, Jake, I just like how long is it going to take for him to realize like this just isn't working? Like I don't
know.
It shouldn't.
He said after Georgia he wants to play more.
Like it was at that point in the game, it was 18-16. You're up 2 points when those guys all came in.
Yeah.
You're talking about a 2-point game in which you're trying to like get a lead and take a crowd out of it because Auburn's arena and Auburn's fan base is still really good. This isn't like you're going to play, Mississippi State or going to play Vanderbilt where the atmosphere is just not going to be there. Like you're playing a place that's known for their atmosphere, and they are on the verge of, being off of the tournament and being out of March Madness this year. How you don't pedal to the metal in what world do you like look at the bench and you're like, this is a great time for Jasper and Trent to come in together. This is it. This is my time. And you know what? Actually, while we're doing that, let me bring in Brandon Garrison as well. Like, theoretically, let's just think about that lineup. What would have been the best case scenario for that lineup? Like, I think that might have been best case scenario for that lineup was to only give up 6 in a minute 46.
I mean, best case you get lucky and Jasper banks in a 3 somewhere in there to keep you afloat. Like, seriously. But it's also like, how many times do we have to talk about, like, put your other guys that are playing well in good positions? That lineup does not benefit Diabate in any particular way. It doesn't benefit Owe. It doesn't give him those, lanes and everything that we've talked about. Like, he's getting so much more comfortable being out there with Colin and Denzel, and it's like you're pulling those, like, all of those lineups, all of those players do not benefit from that. We've talked about at times, I understand it's very minimal. At times, Trent can look okay, like he did in the Arkansas game when he's out there with 4 other starters and like almost like you're playing a small ball lineup and he's kind of at the 4 with the 3 guards and Malachi, for short periods. But like to run all those guys out there together, it puts everybody in a worse position, and you get the worst version of Owe. You get the worst version of Diabate, so on and so forth down the line. And then you got Brandon Garrison out there, which he's the only one that, like, I don't know if it matters which lineup you put him in with. BG's going to do BG.
Where do we go from here, Jake? You got the worst team in the conference coming to your home floor, or not to your home floor.
No,
they're on the road in South Carolina. You're 5.5-point favorite. Bad South Carolina team. Let's just say this. If this is a loss, we have a whole different conversation to have.
Yeah.
And when you're talking about scraping and clawing to get into March. What do we do, man? I mean, it's
you win.
You're at a loss. You're at a loss for words because it's just like, we don't have the questions that we have answers for. We can't get answers to.
Yeah.
Nobody's asking those questions for whatever reason. I don't know why the questions. These aren't hard questions to be asked. Yeah. What? South Carolina, Jake. Best case scenario, worst case scenario. Give it to me.
I mean, best case, I don't know, man. Best case, you win the game. Worst case, you lose. I don't know what else to say.
Well, thanks for painting me that in-depth picture there. All right, I got something for you here. I think worst case scenario is this exact same thing that just happened against Auburn. You don't figure out anything. You don't learn any lessons from that Auburn game. You still run out Jasper. You still run out Trent a lot. You still run out Brandon
He's
Garrison a
going
lot.
to.
I think he's almost done with the Jasper experiment. I think for whatever reason, I understand looking at the numbers, but when you're talking about just looking at him, Trent Noah, and Brandon Garrison, at least when I watch them play, I can say there's something that could happen with Jasper. The other two, we just know there's nothing coming, and there's just nothing going to be there. I think worst case scenario, it's the exact same. It's the Auburn game all over again.
Well, real quick to the Jasper point, like I mentioned, at least he had the wherewithal to pull him a minute and 40 seconds into the game. Like he still went into that game with a plan of Jasper's going to play a lot. And I think you saw that with Jasper coming in an 18-16 game. Like there was still the plan of, we're going to get Jasper his run here. So could he look at this South Carolina game or, just be like, Auburn was just too physical for Jasper. South Carolina, he's going to be able to go out there and play.
He says this about everybody, though.
I'm just saying, like, would you be shocked if Jasper goes out there and plays?
I wouldn't be shocked about anything.
Yeah.
And, genuinely, the only thing I can guarantee you is that barring foul trouble, Ortega and Denzel are playing above 33 minutes. That's the only thing I can guarantee you with this coaching staff.
Yep. All right. Now your best case, I guess.
Best case is you actually get one of those, wins where you win by 10 plus and you are fully in control the entire time. You don't let one of those
that'd be cool
2 field goals in 11 minutes stretches come by. You don't get out to a 10-point lead, have it cut to 2, and then have to try and, fight a tough battle again.
I forget what those are like.
Dude, it's been so long. It's been so long.
I watched Duke and Michigan and Arizona have those wins all the time.
Yeah, that must be nice. I don't even watch those games, Jake, because it makes me sad half the time. I'd rather watch Xavier and Butler, which, Jake, I don't know if you saw. There was a Cats Talk Pod hat sitting courtside of the Butler Xavier game. We're getting global out here.
We're expanding
and growing. Jake, give it to me. What's the score prediction for the South Carolina game?
God, man. Kentucky wins because, they have to. Like, I don't know what else to say. They have to win. Cats 77, South Carolina 70.
I'm gonna be upset if this is only a 7-point win. I'll take it. I will still be upset. It's covering, and
I'm kind of with you, but Vegas thinks we shouldn't be.
Yeah, I think for you to have any sort of confidence in this team, and Jake, this is something I heard someone, I don't remember who said this, but you remember during the football season, Kentucky just got beat up all the way until they won that game against Auburn. And then it's like, oh man, you string it together. Now you got to win against Florida. We had that little bit of with that 8 of 9 run right there, where we lost all the confidence, gained it back. The football team couldn't come back after that Vanderbilt loss. Are we in danger of doing that same thing here?
You're asking me?
I'm asking you if this run is the Louisville run. Because obviously basketball, there's more games, more extended, play.
If you lose this one, I'll say yeah.
My question is, does this team have another bounce back in them to where they can put together an extended period of play? Let's say...
Yeah, I still think...
There's 4 games left. Is there a way where they can bounce back to go 3 of 4 or at least 2 of 2?
Yes. I think 2 of 2. I don't
think they have that bounce back in them?
Yeah, I think they... Honestly, I think they win tomorrow night, and then I think they get Vandy on Saturday with the Rupp crowd and being at home, I think they find a way to win that one. Now,
I'm 2 for 2 with you. I think they're winning both of theirs on the road.
I don't. I think Vandy hasn't looked that great, and also like,
have we?
No, but like I know, I know Rupp obviously isn't the home court that like some of these other places are, and you can lose to Georgia on a Tuesday night at home. Rupp on a Saturday when it needs to will still like we don't lose those a ton. Every kind of home game we lose is usually like just a random weeknight. So I think we get Vandy at home Saturday. Now if we lose tomorrow, then it's 0-4, season's over, pack it up.
And I'm right there with you. I'll go ahead and give my score prediction. I'll go 85-77 Cats. 8-point win. You don't feel good about it, but you're at the point now in the season where you just take the wins where you can get them and you move on and hope you can steal a couple down the road.
Yep.
Boy, I tell you what, man. We've mentioned the roller coaster, Jake. We're back down at the bottom again. How did we get here? We were up at the top there for a minute. We had gotten almost all the way back to the top, and then here we come crashing back down to earth.
Right. I mean, the last time I said, the wheels just might be blanking off, like, we could be at that point. Or this team could surprise us, and there could be a couple more peaks and not just a valley the rest of the way. So,
well, Jake, let's hope there's a lot more peaks to come with this Kentucky basketball season because you and I both know that we need them. It'll obviously start with them getting a win against South Carolina tomorrow at 7 p.m. Keep in touch with the Cats Talk podcast on Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, Twitter, wherever you get your news. We're out there doing everything we can for you guys. Make sure to like, follow, and subscribe on the YouTube. Jake, we're getting close to 500 subscribers, and I'll make a different post about this a little later in the week. I got a team-signed women's poster that if you see me at the game on Sunday, I'm going to take it down there with me. If you see me supporting the Lady Cats versus the Gamecocks, because, Jake, that'll be you're talking about an actual good matchup between UK and South Carolina.
That'll be the
one. So if you see me out there, first person that sees me while we're out there, I'll give it to him. First person to recognize me. Can't miss this clown face. You might even have to honk my nose. I'm not even sure. But make sure you like and follow us for all the things like that. Jake, let's go ahead and get a win in Columbia. We need it.
Gotta have it. Go Big Blue.